Hello and welcome to News Now. I'm Afreen Kudwai. Our top story today.
There is clearly some sort of a pattern emerging.
रही सही कसर मोटर गाड़ियों.
Namaskaram.
For the new age news junkie, life today is like that.
Reported to be blown to shreds.
मैं दूरदर्शन हूं, वो दूरदर्शन.
But flash back to a good 25 years and we learn that the story then was a very, very different one.
ये वो जगह है जहां से दूरदर्शन के जीवन का पहला संगमील रखा गया.
आज यहां से सीधा प्रसारण आपके लिए करेंगे. प्रिय प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी सलामी मंच के पास पहुंच चुकी हैं.
I don't know so many of you, but yet you prayed for me. I am grateful for that.
नए साल के इस हंगामे में आपका स्वागत.
दूरदर्शन टीवी का उपकार है.
Today we may snigger and squirm at how staid the face of news in India was. Far from today's enthusiastic and invigorating avatar. So what brought about the change and how? In the next half hour, we'll take you on that very journey. A journey that news took to reach where it has today. It all started way back in the 1960s. And for all those of you who weren't even born then, here's the first news flash. India's first news bulletin was telecast in 1965. And the rest, of course, is news history.
नमस्कार, आज के समाचारों में आपका स्वागत है. मैं हूं अर्शिया कपाडिया और आप देख रहे हैं टाइम्स नाउ. Well, before you get a little worried, let us tell you that we are still pretty much an English news channel. This is just a trip down memory lane to show you the evolution of news in India. The year was 1959. In a makeshift studio at the Akashvani Bhavan in New Delhi, the Doordarshan started its first experimental telecast, an hour-long program on health, education and citizen rights. Sadhan Malik, the first director of Delhi Doordarshan, recalls those momentous days.
When we started in 59, there was no news. It was social education for television. There was no editing table, there was no nothing. So we put it on the projector, see, cut and join with the cement.
All those technological snacks seem unimaginable today. But remember that we're talking about television in its infancy. And despite hitches, if history was created, it had to be covered. The film division covered the Indo-China and Indo-Pak wars in 1962 and 1965.
Doordarshan in the days of the 1965 and 1971 war had to really depend on the films division. They were not equipped enough, trained enough to do war coverage.
By the mid-70s, news television was slowly coming into its own. And while we were getting used to regular bulletins, the scripts were borrowed unabashedly from good old All India Radio.
The news script was then handed over to a reader who then read it by just reading through it like that, you know, and occasionally looking up and then looking down. His or her skill lay in the fact that, you know, how much could he take in and then speak to the camera and then look back again.
Post-independence, life in India was changing. History was unfolding itself, and chronicling those changes in unforgettable black and white was Doordarshan. One of the biggest milestones then was the Indo-Pak War in 1971.
1971 and the Bangladesh War, which was a very crucial year for television also, because it was for the first time that we covered this war. We were able to communicate to our viewers without being sensational.
The emergency in 1975 during Indira Gandhi's tenure was one of the most controversial in the country's history. Tejeshwar Singh, the face of Doordarshan then, recalls reading the bulletin on that very day.
I didn't know what was going to happen. I only found out about 3 hours before the telecast that the emergency had been declared. So I went to the studio, announced that the emergency has been declared, got up from my desk and told everyone I ain't going to read the news anymore. And so therefore I stopped. In fact, I didn't read for about 3 years from that date till the emergency was revoked.
The big milestone that brought a smile to faces came in 1982. The Asiad Games were held in New Delhi and the city underwent a makeover, as did Indian television. It was time to shut out the black and white era and welcome the world in Technicolor.
Our dress sense was according to the black and white, the makeup and everything. So everything had to change. So initially I think when we used to go to read the news, and we used to think that now we will look very beautiful and we look very nice and all that. But when you used to come back and see the recording, at least I looked horrible at times because, the color will not come as it should,
But witnessing misery in color wasn't memorable for any Indian watching the news in 1984. Operation Blue Star is a watershed event in Indian history, one that will not be forgotten by its citizens.
The government have taken note of the public statement made on behalf of the head priests that they are against any misuse of the temple and the taking in and storing of arms in holy places. Now that the repairs are complete, even the token presence of the army in the Golden Temple can be withdrawn. This we have decided to do.
I was told when I arrived for the bulletin at about 6 in the evening that, we've flown in a Doordarshan team. It has taken footage of the Golden Temple to show it's intact, everything is fine, and we'll be airing it in the bulletin. I said, where's the film? Oh, it's being cleared by Mrs. Gandhi, I was told. Why is the Prime Minister of the country going to clear what's a factual footage? It eventually went on the air at about 10:30 at night, unannounced, nobody saw it.
Doordarshan had to cater to a wide segment of people. So at that time, their policy was to state the news in such a way that it wouldn't incite more violence.
But there's a myth that Doordarshan was dancing to the tune of, the government and things like that. That's absolute rubbish.
However, Operation Blue Star was a blot on the Indira Gandhi government. The Sikh community felt wronged like never before. And 4 months later, India witnessed its first assassination on television. Mrs. Gandhi was shot by her own Sikh bodyguards. All India Radio was the first to report this. The anti-Sikh genocide that followed for 3 days left close to 4,000 Sikhs massacred.
It was a very difficult time, to be very honest, because we knew that this tragedy has happened. Maybe the turmoil was visible on my face, I don't know, but I went through the news.
By the mid-80s, Doordarshan was known not only for its news, but also its newscasters. More on the faces that symbolize news for us and how news magazines changed the concept of news television in India right after this break.
Well, Bhagalpur was, the riots were happening or had happened just before this, the elections.
इस खेत में खेती हुई थी इंसान की लाशों की.
charm of color television, newscasters became a household name. They may not have enjoyed the demigod status that some of our news anchors enjoy today, but they were quite popular in their own way.
Many of us, I certainly, have been mobbed once in a while in those days. Yes, you were made to feel special everywhere.
Meenu used to see me, she'll shut up because I'll immediately go to Meenu and say, Meenu, please pin up my sari and make a V about it. And she'll say, you know, I'll disclose this to viewers that you are wearing sari like this because you don't have matching blouses.
By the late 80s, news programming changed forever. With the launch of the video magazine Newstrack in 1988, news for the first time broke free from government control.
We lead with the man at the eye of the electoral storm, Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi.
I just answered both your questions by saying that we don't have to go to the second part of your question.
Rajiv Gandhi's favorite sentence has been, "Hum dekhenge." But it is the people of India who are now watching and waiting.
It was now presented in a zingy capsule format with a point of view entirely its own.
Would you like to get married?
Not particularly.
It goes back to really the dark ages when the government did not allow any private channels to broadcast. So to circumvent those rules, what we did was that we started making this video magazine, which was that you could subscribe to it and also you could rent it from video shops.
Newstrack got its breakthrough with the reportage of the Mandal Commission agitation in 1990. Got a taste of hard news, up close and personal for the first time.
Frankly, we wouldn't be that objective. For example, in my anchoring, I remember closing that anchoring saying that VP Singh has the blood of these students on his hands. And I believe that when he saw it, he was very quiet and he left the room. And after that, he used to refuse to give interviews to Newstrack.
In 1997, Newstrack eventually evolved into a weekly show on DD Metro. The Indian middle class was rising and demanded news that involved, affected and reflected their concerns. And investigative programming like Eyewitness, Aankhon Dekhi and Hello Zindagi did just that.
इस देश के जितने प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, समस्याएं हैं, वो हिंदी फिल्म्स की वजह से हुआ। मैं बिल्कुल मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं हूँ। बिल्कुल नहीं कहूँगी नहीं। सिद्धार्थ, सुन लीजिए आप मेरी बात।
तो रहिए ना बेखबर, देखिए कल फिर खास खबर आंखों देखी। इस वक्त हम बिहार में भागलपुर जिला के जगदीशपुर ब्लॉक के लोगाई गांव में खड़े हैं। बहुत दुख के साथ आपको ये कहना पड़ रहा है कि इस खेत में खेती हुई थी इंसान की लाशों की। You know, Bhagalpur was the riots were happening or had happened just before this, the elections of 1989. The human being can smell its own, and it can smell the smell of burning flesh from anywhere. The mist was on the bonnet of the car, and I remember telling the driver that you proceed in this direction. There are bodies. So the stench was so strong that we could ourselves go to the well where the bodies had been thrown. But on the way, they showed this house where the marauders had made a hole in the wall and thrown a petrol bomb, and 500 people, or I don't know how many had collected there. They jumped into the pond and they had fished them out of the pond and then killed them and then thrown the bodies in the well, and then they had been taken out from the well by the villagers at 10 rupees a body.
In 1991, we sat in our drawing rooms and witnessed destruction unfold live before our eyes. As the Gulf War raged on, we saw it on DD, thanks to visuals sent from CNN. Closer home, the darkest hour in recent history shocked the nation on 6 December 1992, when Hindu fundamentalists demolished the Babri Masjid in Ayodhya.
Cameraman Ashok actually took one tape and he ran into one small part of the temple and hid it under some priest's mattress and then ran out, and he retrieved it later. That tape was, we were asked to, it was completely banned. And I appealed it and went to Bombay to the appellate tribunal. And there was Justice Lenton who looked at it. And he passed an order that not only should it be allowed, it should be required viewing for every citizen.
By 1993, the inevitable was finally happening. Censorship rules were beginning to bend, and it was time to welcome the satellite boom. Zee TV launched its first news channel, yet another turning point in Indian news history.
First time we would show the news the way it is. There was no censor, which is what people like. Though at the same time, I must say that today on the news channels, including mine, hardly news. There are many things else other than news.
It was only a matter of time now before the 24/7 news phenomenon would change Indian lives. Round-the-clock news coverage soon invaded every Indian home, and the viewer certainly wasn't complaining.
The English channels, I think, were ambitious from the start because they also wanted to compete overseas, and that has made our news coverage more responsible in some ways.
But while some may still have serious reservations about its coverage, there is no denying that the one defining moment in recent news history remains the Kargil War in 1999.
A lot of it was very brave, but again, it was done in a sort of very dramatic way, and you never really got any hard news out of it.
In Trebit, reporters they almost went to the front lines. There was competition, and our reporters, men and women, proved their caliber.
From studio news to cameras reaching the frontiers of war, life for the news junkie had indeed changed. But that's not really the end of this story. On the other side of this break, news channels today and the impact on you, the ordinary citizen. Stay tuned.
Somebody stopped me on the road and just asked me कि भाई को न्याय मिलेगा ना?
There is at times a tendency, I think, to go a bit over the top.
आज प्रधानमंत्री के दौरे पर, well, that was actually the opening line of every news bulletin in the early years. Today we've come a really long way since then. We are a part of news that talks openly, directly to you, the viewer.
We cannot be just taken for granted every year like that.
None of them are coming out. There's a lot of panic in this area.
We elect people to power who only want the power.
We keep begging, we keep crying, we keep pleading, but what happens? Nothing happens.
Today, it's the citizen who makes the journalist. The viewer is no longer an obscure, faceless number, but has an opinion that is heard by the entire nation.
Citizen journalist reporting for Times Now.
Aditya Kaul's Justice for Priyadarshini campaign was just one of the many million voices that refused to sit back in indifference.
It was in March when I really saw interviews of Mr. Mattu. Somewhere inside me, I got some call or something that something needs to be done. Even Mr. Mattu, he had lost all hope, and it was only because of the media pressure, because of the public pressure, that he really thought that yes, let's give it a last chance.
Today is the victory of the entire media. Today is the victory of the entire nation.
Another example of news becoming a watchdog came on 22nd July 2006, when 4-year-old Prince in Kurukshetra slipped down a 53-feet hole. For most of his 50-hour ordeal, news channels kept round-the-clock tabs, and an entire nation kept its life on hold. When he was finally rescued, there were scenes of nationwide celebration. The human interest story had come of age.
वीडियो के तो काफ़ी आभारी हैं, प्रिंस का खर्चा वो ही उठा रहे हैं और वैसे भी उन्होंने बहुत मदद की है प्रिंस को मतलब दुनिया को दिखाने में। हमारा नाम प्रिंसी से चलता है, हम प्रिंसी के मम्मी डैडी से पहचाने जाते हैं और प्रिंस से हमारा बहुत बड़ा नाम हुआ है।
And thanks to being the prince of TRPs, Prince's family enjoys a comfortable home today. Some may argue that with the hefty compensation received and a scoop of the taxpayers' money, he can now actually live like a prince, while other such cases, sadly, go unnoticed. So like we've seen real-life drama unfold live, we've also seen news channels shake up the sleepy judicial system, only to ensure that though justice may have been delayed, it is finally delivered.
If television hadn't reached out to the ordinary viewer, would have been no candlelit vigils, there would have been no processions, there would not have been even, films which have encouraged people to come out on the streets.
Sabrina Lal's lone battle for her sister Jessica turned into a citizen movement when the media sprung up in action. When Manu Sharma was finally sentenced to life imprisonment, Sabrina was vindicated. Call it a media trial or a rising, the impact of news to mold public opinion has never been felt so powerfully.
I would say it would be a genuine awakening. Earlier, you just have a little snippet at some newspaper, cover, and people would read it and they would say, oh, how terrible, and move on. A lot of kids don't even read newspapers. So, when you watch it on television and you see something like this, I think that's what really fired all the, youth, as you say, the young ones up, to actually come forward and get onto the streets.
While Sabrina is a relieved woman today, Neelam Katara's trial is far from over. When death makes headlines due to its sensational nature, grieving in the media spotlight can add to the ordeal. But Neelam says that the media's crusade for justice has only added impetus to her cause.
Yes, this is the media bringing facts before the people and sometimes giving a voice to persons who otherwise would not know, as I said, how they would reach across. Somebody stopped me on the road and just asked me, ki bhai ko nyay milega na. So this is the kind of identification. If you say it's a media trial, then the verdict in my case should have been, 5 years earlier.
Agreed. So while news is being credited for citizen activism, it is also accused of falling prey to the TRP game in an exceedingly competitive breaking news scenario.
There is at times a tendency, I think, to go a bit over the top, to flog a particular thing to death, and this entirely heartless concentration on the grieving families of the victims, close-ups of the widow crying, close-ups of the child crying. I mean, you can just imagine the kind of thing that is there. Arey, get some shots here, good. Tears, dekho, you take that, take close-up of that. That's the kind of heartlessness, and that's not news.
We will always be a media-hungry nation, and I'm glad that that hunger is being fulfilled to a certain extent, met to some extent. So it's healthy, it's extremely healthy. It's just that I find myself a little out of sympathy with news that is built solely for the momentary TRP. I think that our news channels need to become a little more mature eventually.
Well, that's the story so far. When the first news bulletin rolled out in 1965, little did we know that the Indian viewer had such a voracious appetite for news and, if we may add, news channels. So how did you enjoy this news journey? Write in your comments to us at weekend@timesnow.tv. If you're a citizen reporter, then write in to us at citizenreporter@timesnow.tv. Thanks for being with us.
It is not anti-Muslim.
इस फायरिंग को बंद करने की अपील करते हैं। मुशर्रफ मलून पे लानत।